It's sort of easier to know just when you're in a state of alignment or when you are manifesting things versus when you're not. You're in alignment when your life, business, career has a sense of overall ease, flow, and rightness, and there's no fear or dread attached to it. It just feels good. It's like, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be. And you're not really thinking too much about it. Whereas you're out of alignment when you're trying really, really hard to change something. Like, I really want this to happen. And you're like putting so much effort into it and it's just not happening. It's just getting more and more frustrating. It's really hard to break that cycle because naturally we want to do more and try harder to get ourselves out of a situation. But really, if we can think more about, okay, what do I want? And what version of me has that thing? And how would they react in this situation? What would they say? What would they do? Who would they call upon? Who would be supporting them? What would this feel like to them? Then it allows us to kind of break that negativity spiral and start to manifest or attract what we actually want. Mindset work is really, really difficult to do, mostly because we can't see our own blind spots. I can sort of see when someone is saying one thing and they actually mean something else, or if there's inconsistencies with what they're saying or what they're doing. And often we get really good at talking ourselves out of things that we actually want, or finding reasons why we can't do something, or something is not aligned for us. And actually it is, but we're just afraid, or there's something getting in the way. And so I'm more than happy to work with you individually on this kind of thing if you think that would be helpful. I often have conversations with ChatGPT about these things as well, because sometimes it's like I just have so much stuff in my head and I need to just get it all out. So I will put it in a voice to text message, and then I'll ask it to just kind of like organize my thoughts for me. And it helps me go, oh yeah, like I'm kind of getting in my own way, or that explains why that is feeling scary to me, or why I'm apprehensive about this or that. And so that can sort of act as a form of coaching too, because you're coaching yourself in a way. And sometimes the way that it phrases something is like, oh, I never thought about that before, but that helps me like let go of some of that negativity. So again, just from a networking standpoint, you're not going to see necessarily immediate results after you do it. And same with marketing in general. There's very rarely a direct correlation between I did this post and then this thing happened, or I sent this email and then I got this client, or I went to this event and then I got this project. If we try to look for those direct associations, we're just going to be disappointed because it really doesn't work out that way very often. Instead, it's much more helpful to just think about the way that we're showing up and the energy that we bring to that and the strategy behind that and what it means to be authentic and what it means to kind of differentiate between who are my people, who are not my people, where am I going to put my energy, where am I going to conserve my energy. The critical thing here is just being able to practice knowing the difference between an aligned conversation and a misaligned conversation, because you're much more likely to have productive conversations, or meaningful conversations, or inspiring conversations, or validating conversations, or attract opportunities through your connections if you are focusing on the ones that feel right and feel good, and you're not putting energy into the others. And so over time, you are cultivating a network of like-minded people, and you're filtering out the people who are not your people, and you will start to get the results, but the results will come later. And so we can't look at the absence of results and go, well, I can't be authentic in business because it doesn't work. Because it absolutely does work. It just takes some time, and it actually does take a bit longer because the payoff is a lot bigger. We don't want to attract the wrong opportunities. Otherwise, we just end up in a cycle of burnout and disappointment and lack of appreciation and all the things that we've experienced in the past, where we've just acted out of necessity or out of, I should do this, I should do that, rather than who we actually are and what we want. And a lot of the times the things that we want are not things that other people want. And so sometimes the resistance is just that, is it okay to have what I want? And that can be a very difficult question to answer within ourselves. But I really think it all boils down to this, is the quality of the interactions and how you feel while you're having them, because that's then going to have a knock-on effect with everything else that you do. Because then I find even I'm having conversations with new people and I'm referencing the previous conversations that I've had, and then these people are resonating with that, and then I might even connect them together, and or they may say, oh, I'd love to meet that person, or oh, I've got this opportunity that I never would have thought about, but when you said this, it made me think of that. And so it's all connected, and you never know what someone's going to pick up on and what's going to resonate with them, which could seem completely irrelevant, but actually to them, it's exactly what they needed to hear. And that's how they know that they're connecting with someone who's like-minded, who's aligned for them. So another concept I wanted to get into is, are you picking up what your body's putting down? If an interaction is leaving you feeling drained, confused, or offended, that's really helpful data. We don't always look at that as data, but it's really, that's what it is. That's how we learn what is aligned for us and what isn't aligned for us. And so if we're leaving an interaction feeling intrigued, feeling inspired, feeling enlightened, that's also helpful data. We might not realize it at the time that it's happening, and we might not have an opening to exit the conversation or pivot the conversation or try to assess whether it's aligned. But afterwards, we can look back and say, oh, that was a really, really good interaction. Like, I talked to them for an hour, but it felt like 5 minutes. Or like, oh, why am I feeling so exhausted after talking to that person? I felt like I was proving myself. I felt like they weren't appreciative of what I was saying. Like, they didn't even comprehend what I was saying. And so it's really, really important information. So we have to learn to trust that energetic feedback loop of the interactions that we have. So how does the conversation land? What does it spark? And how do you feel afterwards?